Today's video is going to be about Stompees and what happens if they get nerfed, how they would be nerfed, and my predictions on the sort. So, Stompees. They are one of the most used hunter exotics and have been since the game came out. Since Destiny 2 came out, they originally only worked on high jump, and now they work literally everywhere. It's an absolutely incredible exotic. For anyone that is relatively new to the game, Stompees are going to increase your sprint speed, slide distance, and make it your jump absolutely ridiculous. So it's just a movement exotic. It doesn't auto reload like Transversives. It doesn't lightning chain like Dunes. Why are Stompees such a problem in the Crucible? Well, here's the thing. Stompees are a exotic that allows you to jump a ridiculously high amount. The problem that people have with hunters is the rate at which they can get off the ground and over your head. That is the issue, is people feel like they have to aim a little too much, or it's a little too hard to adjust to fighting a Stompees user. The sliding, it's similar to other exotics. The sprint speed, it's really not that big of a deal, but it's when you combine it all as well with improving your strafe jump. The improving your strafe jump is the main problem with Stompees. So how would they nerf it? Well, if they nerfed Stompees, I imagine that the best way that they would nerf Stompees is probably to go in and reduce jump height. Okay, so Stompees are now only going to increase your sprint speed and slide distance. Is that enough? Does that make it a unique movement exotic if we take the jump height completely out of the equation? So if we take the jump height out of the equation, you are now not going to have that ridiculous momentum over people's heads. People will be happier, but then it is now blatantly worse than Transversives, which is sprint and slide distance as well as auto reload, Dune Marchers, which is sprint slide distance, as well as the lightning chain. So can we, as a hunter class, have an exotic that is blatantly worse than the other two? Well, here's the thing. It makes it worth it in the end. And honestly, if they removed jump height, which is going to remove your acceleration as a hunter, it might not even be that bad of a thing. Hear me out. If you are increasing your sprint speed and slide distance, as well as your strafe jump is still going to be fast, it will not get you as high, but it'll still get you momentum. It might be better for ground skating as a hunter, and that will allow you to jump off the ground and increase your momentum more quickly, as well as, your ceiling bounces, all that funny stuff. But it'll also remove the issue that hunter has, which is jumping over people's heads. At the end of the day, Destiny 2 is a controller-based game. You cannot argue it any other way. The M&K players versus the controller players, it's abysmal. There's a very, very, very small amount of M&K players in comparison to PlayStation, Xbox, controller players that play on PC. Stadia has a huge, huge controller support system. So overall, you need to kind of have this general area that you're keeping hunters in. So would I be okay with that nerf? I think that removing jump height is not going to be that big of a deal. I think that would still be a relatively good decision, and I still think we would keep the speed as a hunter class, as well as the way I play specifically. Movement's very important to me, so I think that would be good. Here are the issues and what I think would happen if you nerf Stompees. If you nerf Stompees, the absolute number one issue that you're going to see is you are going to immediately see people go, oh, Stompees got nerfed? Time to put on the Worm Husk. Time to put on the Graviton Forfeit. Time to put on the Gemini Jesters. Here is the issue with nerfing Stompees. If it feels like it was nerfed too much, Hunter's other exotic options are annoying. I will not lie to you. Hunters, it feels like their entire class was built around being annoying to other classes. Stompees are fun and they're movement based, but if you take Stompees out completely tomorrow, Dragon Shadow still isn't around the same place as it was. You have Invis Hunters going Invis and getting health back with Worm Husk, which is incredibly toxic. I am literally losing my mind over that. You have Gemini Jester Hunters, which are flashbanging you and constantly taking away your radar. You have Invis Hunters with Omnioculus, Graviton Forfeit, 6 Coyote. These options are going to be pushed forward way more. So that is why I think that Bungie is sitting there twiddling the thumbs, wondering how do we nerf Stompees without making this game just a little too much. Because if every hunter's running healing exotics, invis exotics, blinding exotics, it's going to get obnoxious. You're not going to want to play that meta. So that is, I think, why the Stompees nerf has been held back for such a long time, why they haven't been able to push it out. They haven't been able to really find something to be happy with, because the second that they go, okay, time to pull back Stompees, all of this other stuff comes forward, and that other stuff that comes forward really, really shows the problems with this game. Why is Invis Hunter so obnoxious, and why is it obnoxious when it's combined with exotics that make Invis more powerful? Special weapons. You have insta-kill exotics. You never see this hunter coming. He blindsides you. He's off the radar. It's hard to see, and he shotguns you. He fusions you. He snipes you. All of that is really, really, really difficult to counter. Okay, well, then what's the issue there? Well, the special ammo economy is a really, really difficult thing for Bungie to work with. They're working around so many different issues that if Stompees get nerfed, it's just going to show how much of a problem everything else is. Do I think that Stompees could be changed? You know what? If it's going to make other people happy, sure. Jumping over people's head is the number one problem that people have with Stompees. That's completely fine. But I really want other things to be considered. I really want us to look at a whole picture and see that there are plenty of other hunter exotics that are going to make the game way, way, way more difficult to deal with. And that is just generally the problem. I think at the end of the day, we need to focus on fixing a lot of things, because a lot of things are issues. It was like when every single person was like, Vex Mythoclast, that is an obnoxious gun, it's overpowered, it's impossible to deal with. And I went, you are right. That gun is the worst. Don't nerf it. Everyone's like, what? What do you mean? Why wouldn't we nerf Vex? Vex is horrible. It's awful to deal with. What's wrong with nerfing Vex? Well, what happened when we finally nerfed Vex? DMT came back. No Time to Explain came back. Other issues that I knew were going to be a huge problem coming forth, being in the meta, they all made their way to the front. And now people are sitting in the back with Empowering Rift DMT 2-tapping. That is significantly more of a problem than Vex ever was. There are other things in this game that are overpowered and people don't realize, or people jump on a meta train or anything like that. And when we go around nerfing those things, then the actual problems come forth. So once we nerf Stompees, once we finally, fix this exotic that I know so many people are sick of, and I absolutely respect that. I honestly don't want to see movement exotics in the game at all. I want movement to be buffed around just a little bit, and that way people can get creative with builds again. Stompees are incredibly fun for me, but they're also the only exotic that actually changes the way you play the game in a fun way. Meanwhile, all the other stuff on Hunter specifically just feels cheesy. It doesn't feel fun. You're not doing things that feel creative or fun. Young Ahamkara Spine, I would love to do builds with that, but when it comes down to it, it's not as good as, Stompees, Wormhusk, Gemini, all these things. So I really, really want exotics to be sunset. I want them to change. I want, there to be reasons to use new stuff. But right now, there just isn't. And that is the main issue that I have with a whole bunch of the things going on. So I appreciate you guys if you made it this far. I know I kind of ranted. I know I had a whole bunch to say. I really support the Stompy nerf. And I want you to know that if it does happen, we need to take initiative on other things first, because it's only going to become more obnoxious. You finally want to have a hunter flying over your head, but that hunter's going to have 300 health and be invis. We just got to be careful when we're looking at the meta as a whole. Appreciate you guys, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. Peace.